innovative content, global audience.
In Nigeria's political ecosystem, the older generation cannot forget in a hurry the days of the MPN, UPN, MPP, GMPP, and PRP, when the political parties had ideologies that prioritized the well-being of the citizens. One man who was instrumental in driving that era, especially as it concerned the UPN, Chief Chris Ozili Biose, tells us more.
I am Christopher Ozili Okafor Biose. I'm a political sociologist. I'm engaged in writing about my experience in the past 83 years of my life. That's what I'm doing right now. That's a very interesting question. When I reflect on the past 82 or so years of my life, it does not look as if it is the same country. I was born in a rural setting, calm, quiet, relaxed, with vegetation. Children could go to farm, go to the stream, wake up 4 a.m., go to the stream about 3 or 4 kilometers away, come back. No fear of attack, except maybe wild animals. I attended primary school in my village, the old Western region, then Asaba division in the old Western region. After my primary education, I attended the secondary modern school in my village. I did not have the opportunity of attending a secondary school due to family limitations. I had to register to study for the General Certificate of Education of the University of London, because at that time, you would not be able to write GCE, or you would be first required to pass GCE English language. So I registered with the Rapid Results College to study at home for the General Certificate of Education of the University of London, which I passed in 1962, and then took the other subjects in 1963, and then the advanced level in 1964. And as I was preparing, thinking of the university, then I got employment in the old Western region, of course, Western Region Finance Corporation in 1961 as a loan clerk, and later as a bank clerk in the old Bank of West Africa, Benin City. And that was, during that period, the Nigerian crisis started, and the question of going to the university was put off. That was the early stage of my life. I resigned my appointment as a bank clerk and studied sociology, my first degree, and after that took an advanced course. I worked briefly at the Nigerian Institute for Social and Economic Research as a research assistant. Professor Cardinal was my boss, and I was recalled to the university by my professors, and I had a brief stint as a teacher of sociology at the University of Lagos. And early in 1979, as a result of my visit to the sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, I was convinced, and I left the university to join the struggle for a better Nigeria under the platform of the Unity Party of Nigeria. At the end of the election in 1979, the Unity Party of Nigeria, where I had contested the election in my constituency, won the election. And that was how I was first appointed as a member of the Bendel State Board of Education. And when the Teaching Service Commission was appointed in 1980, approved in 1980 by the Bendel State House of Assembly, because one of the cardinal programs of the UPN at that time was education. And it was taught that education should be given prime of place in the program of the Unity Party of Nigeria. Because as far back as 1951, when Awolowo and his colleagues formed the action group, analyzed the African situation and the Nigerian situation, and came to the conclusion that for Nigeria to break out of its situation in the third world, it needed 4 things. 1, freedom from British rule. That was 1951. Freedom from British rule. Freedom from ignorance. Freedom from disease. And freedom from want. And this was the foundation of the action group. And this was after a year, reorganized in 1979 under the 4 cardinal programs of the Unity Party. And that was what attracted me. Because given my background, where I was unable to attend secondary school, seeing a political party that placed education as number 1, because we believed that no country there is no way Nigeria can develop or be lifted out of its backwardness without empowering the people intellectually and with necessary skills. So that was one of the things, my motivation for leaving my academic career to see how I can contribute for a better Nigeria. So coming back to my appointment as a member of the State Board of Education, and when the Teaching Service Commission was appointed, I've just given you the reasons why the UPN created a separate commission that was responsible for the management of the Unified Teaching Service of the then Bender State, and the Unified Teaching Service was responsible for the management of all primary schools, all secondary schools, all teachers' colleges. And we were also partly responsible for staffing of the newly approved colleges of education at that time. The Unified Teaching Service of Benin was the largest service in this part of the country. No other service compared with it. So that was where I had my stint and contributed my quota to the advancement of this country by way of improving the developmental foundation for a new nation. It was when I went on recruitment tour to Sokoto in 1981. I found that all the schools in Sokoto State at that time, before the split of this, were not up to the number of schools we had in Oredo local government area at that time. The challenges were able to surmount. In the UPN, it's not like today when we had political parties that have no ideology, that have no ideological basis, that have no foundation. Anything goes. It was based on conviction. It was like a religion, where we placed what we believe in as not negotiable. Not negotiable. You could say you don't agree with us, but you could not say you don't know what we stood for at that time. So I think that party attracted personalities that had that conviction. People like Professor Ambrose Ali, people like Lateef Jakonde, and the one at Ogun State, into the old Ogun State, and others. So that is why I say that I told you at the beginning that what we are seeing today is not what we saw at that time. We don't understand where these people are getting the type of things they are doing. You say you are a politician. We cannot say what you stand for. So, we were able to, and the leadership of the party at that time, of the party, mattered a lot. Under Awolowo, at that time, you cannot say you are coming to the office and you use government money to drink tea. The discipline was so strong. You cannot use government money to drink tea in the office. We're looking for money, how to implement the cardinal programs of the party. So that's not to say that there were no temptations here and there. But I can give you an example. For example, I think I mentioned it some time ago. Due to the expansion in education, we opened 661 new secondary schools at that time. And we had to employ watch nights, laborers, librarymen, non-teaching staff. These were clerical staff. Apart from academic staff that we go for interviews. So Some of our colleagues in the House of Assembly, for instance, they have no scope for employing people. So one of my friends came to me and said, I'm in the House of Assembly. I have no way of, helping my people. I need people in this school, in this school. We want to employ them. I said, bring their names. We have positions. They were employed. I was in the office one day. Then an honorable member, the gentleman came and said, this is what I collected from them. I said, collected from who? He said, you know that those appointments now, I mean, watch night, laborer. You mean you collected money from them? I said, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. At that time, the money had value. You have free accommodation as a commissioner. You have free car, free driver. You have watch night. You have domestic staff. You Bende Brewery. You have allocation from the Bende Brewery. Ukbela Cement. You have allocation. You have so many privileges. Then you go and collect money from watch night. I said I cannot do it. Our friendship spoiled. So and there are many. But Professor Ambrose Ali was a teacher, a university lecturer, a professor of morbid anatomy. He had no money. During the campaign, he did not have car. He used the car of one of our friends who was working in a pharmaceutical company, a Volvo with an open roof, to campaign. We sit down like this and talk about how we're going to save the country, how we're going to save our state. That was our concern, not how we are going to share money. In fact, the people now, they look at us as fools, that we don't have sense, that we stole money and we did not steal it. So that was our orientation at that time. It was a mindset. But over the years, the mindset has changed as a result of, as a sociologist who has a long view of history and interpretation of action deriving from historical experience, I can tell you the origin of most of these things, deriving from military experience. Because of all the criticisms that we had against Prime Minister Balewa due to his inappropriate economic policies that did not recognize the need for decolonization, for break from the colonial setting to a new setting. Alhaji Shehu Shagari, nobody ever accused Prime Minister Balewa of being a thief. Nobody. Nobody ever accused President Shehu Shagari of being a thief. Nobody. But look at the type of people we are having calling themselves excellency. Rogues. So it was a different mindset, a different orientation, a different ideological setting that we operated in at that time. Thank you very much. I was active until 1983 when Major General Buhari took over, overthrew our government on the night of December 31, 1983. Locked up some of our leaders for no just cause, a humble man like Professor Ambrose Ali, a workaholic like Lateef Jokonde, our model. These are our models. But locked up for no just cause. In the end, nothing was found against them. So this led me to the pro-democracy activism. And I joined the pro-democracy because it appeared that things were just going haywire. That was when I joined the pro-democracy movement. And I became an officer of the then Civil Liberties Organization and the deputy chairman of CLO in the state where I operated, Benin City. And I was an activist of the Campaign for Democracy. Shortly after the June 1993, June 12, the abrogation of June 12, rude annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, we participated in organizing protests as members of the Campaign for Democracy. And I later tried to put some of my ideas into writing. At the end of later I tried to see whether I could return to partisan politics. But my atmosphere had changed. There's an article I wrote what is happening today is not new at all. It's not new, and I've documented some of them. This question of the PDP saying the Delta is not a PDP state. They've been ruling this place by force and fraud. There's an article you can check. Nigeria, nomination blues in Delta State. In the Vanguard, January 21, 2003, where I described how the governor at that time was the one that nominated candidates for all the other parties. It looks impossible, but that was what happened. So what is happening in the country, you cannot understand it. Where somebody will stay in Lagos, Abuja, and nominate people in Delta. We don't have democracy. We don't have it. So I restricted myself to writing, and in fact, I left public life completely until 2022, when a man called Peter Obi, whose trajectory I followed in his confrontation with the political, what will I call them? Those in control of the politics of Anambra State at that time. I don't want to use very derogatory words, but they were not politicians. Politics is supposed to be the art of making sure, according to the classic tradition, of bringing the best things of life for the greatest number of people in the state. It's not how to exploit the people. It's not how to gang up to. That's not politics. That's gangsterism. That's stealing. That's robbery. Organized robbery is what we're having in Nigeria as politics. So that was when I returned, because I had given up, believing that it was impossible to change the country, believing that a gang of predators had taken over. So that was when I returned to the political terrain to join the obedience, because the entry of Peter Obi offered a ray of hope. And I can tell you that Peter Obi won that election. But because of the corruption is a very mild word to use. Corruption is a very mild word. They had captured the entire state, captured the judiciary. During our time, nobody would think of going to see a judge or going to bribe a judge. It was unthinkable. It was not that things were excellent, but it was unthinkable. It's totally unthinkable that you are going to judge and thinking of how to influence a judge. But look at how the kinds of judgments that are coming from the Supreme Court. Somebody who did not contest nomination of his party will become a senator. Talking of Akpabio and Lawan. Somebody who did not contest nomination of his party. Somebody who came fourth. He did not come second. In Imo State, we manipulate it and say he's the winner. I mean, it beats the imagination how low our institutions have fallen. So, these are the things that I cannot go into the street to run. So the only thing I can do is to encourage the youth. They should not lose hope. And let me tell you, if you please permit me, let me say this. I have nothing against any individual. I have spoken about the shenanigans of our politicians and what happened recently in Delta State. I have called them. I have nothing against any individual. I have everything against their actions. In 2007, when the former governor of the state at that time wanted to impose his cousin, as a governorship, as a governor, or as a candidate. I was then financial secretary of the People's Democratic Party.
Okay, you were once in PDP.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I was the secretary of Equity 2007. Go and ask Senator Peter Nwaboshi. And we wanted somebody from Delta North. I was a supporter of Governor Kowa, who later became governor. When we went for the nomination at Ogwashuku, I don't know why they carried it to Ogwashuku. They now kept us in one primary school and was coming to use vehicle to choose people that were going to do nomination. One of the reasons we respected Governor Kowa was very resilient, and he fought hard. He fought hard. He knew all their tactics. But we were disappointed at outcomes. Let me tell you, I have nothing personal against President Tinubu. I have everything against what he's doing. Based on my relationship in the action group, in the Unity Party, I found that almost all the struggles for progress in Nigeria, the Yoruba people played a key role, ranging from even from the formation of political parties. Macaulay, the first political party in 1922, and so on. The pro-independence struggle, the anti-military struggle, the struggle for egalitarianism in this country. I was a member of when politics started in 1999, I was an officer of the Alliance for Democracy. The same party with Tinubu. And when Tinubu was able to resist Obasanjo, President Obasanjo, in 2000, he did not win his place in 1999. It's common knowledge. He did not win his ward. He did not win his local government. He did not win his Togo state. So he came back with vengeance in 2003 with a sledgehammer and tricks. I have no apologies, it is true. He negotiated with Afenifere, the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Political Organization, that the AD governor should step down for him. Should not field a presidential candidate. So that after they have voted him as president, he will help them to win. The only person that refused, there were 6 AD governors, was Tinubu, who was then governor of Lagos State. Tinubu warned them that Obasanjo was tricking them. And the plans succeeded in all the states except Lagos State. And then President Obasanjo, quote me, gave an order to the then IGP, Tafa Balogun, quote me, it's on the record, that the Tafa Balogun as IGP should arrest AD leaders in Lagos State who were stubborn. On the night before the election. Let me tell you, Tinubu is smart, he's bold, he's a tactician, and he had organized grassroots resistance. And one of those he organized was, you should go and study the origin of the power of motor packed out in Lagos. That's part of the origin. If there's a BBC documentary about the origin of the power of motor packed out in Lagos. There were underground and underworld linkages, which these politicians are using at various levels. The Lagos State Police Commissioner at that time was one Young Arabame. And Young Arabame called the former Admiral Ikomo. I'm sorry, not Ikomo. Mike Akigbe, who was the former governor of Lagos State. Arabame told Akigbe that Lagos State would be on fire. Worse than Operation Wet Tear. For those who know what Operation Wet, burning of human beings and burning of houses. If Obasanjo implements that plan. So Obasanjo told Mike Akigbe, since you have the courage to talk to me as a former governor of Lagos State, I will not let the plan to work in Lagos. Go and check a report by something, a Yobosa, in the Vanguard of January 31, 2010. I think it's one of the authors of that report. Mike Akigbe made this revelation at a Christian a forum where he revealed the intrigues that was going on and the role he played. Now I'm saying that these people who are calling themselves big men are cowards. Coming to say because APC is doing this, you cannot confront them. They are cowards. They're not politicians. They should have known what Tinubu did to make himself. That was one of the, he gained national prominence. That was the beginning. It was the only surviving AD state. And it was the footstool on which he stood to galvanize other states. Why are these people chickening out and calling themselves leaders? They are villains. They're not leaders. What is the meaning of leadership? So, I think it was Paul the Apostle in his letter to the Ephesians. Our wrestle is not against flesh and blood, but against the spirits, the spiritual powers, against the powers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. We're not against individuals. Most of these youths, I don't know why they are afraid to talk. The leaders are afraid. I think I give Tinubu at least 10 years gap in age. I have no other opportunity than to tell Nigerians truth. That's where I stand today. I was a participant in the anti-military struggle. The brutalities and the killing, dead bodies lying in the street of Ikorodu Road under Abacha's command. No responsible father will recommend that the youth should come. I am aware of how the military sent soldiers to Lekki Toll Gate and denied so shamelessly until CAN published how they left their barracks and published the movement of the vehicle before they agreed that they came. They now said they didn't shoot bullets. The CNN now brought out the bullets and even tell them the country where it was bought. They now said they only shot into the air. These people have no credibility. So no father will recommend that his children. Look at how they killed people, youth. August 2024 anti-hunger protest. And even arraigned minors. The present IGP arraigned minors underage. And they are still talking. Shameless. So no responsible father or grandfather will recommend that. But there are so many tactics of mobilization which is not necessarily coming out to demonstrate on the streets. Activism goes beyond, and that is why the social media is very important. The social media has been very engaged, has been very active in mobilizing the youth. I very much believe, for instance, when I was an academic staff at the University of Lagos, I was the coordinator of the award circle. Now, if you should publish anything at that time, because I attended Awolowo school, I called that is Awolowo children. If you should publish anything at that time, all right, we have facts and figures. You will have, that time it was Daily Times, no social media. Daily Times will receive 1,000 letters to the editor that morning. In response. Are you hearing me? The youths have so many ways to organize themselves and coordinate their activities today with the social media. There are so many ways to make their voices heard. They have so many ways to organize themselves coherently. One of the ways in which The ruling class have been dividing them. It to be talking of religion, tribe, Arewa youth, Igbo youth, Yoruba youth. There is nothing like Arewa youth and Igbo youth. Youth should act as youths because they face the same challenge today. When Pa Edwin Clark asked former Governor Kowa to account for 13% derivation, some Ika youths started challenging Ijaw youths. They wanted to ethnicize it. These are backward ideas. They should forget about ethnicity. Like I told you, Yoruba, why I respect Yoruba is that they have not been used to, every tribe has ethnicity, but they have been forthright and they knew how to deal with traitors in their own group. They dealt with traitors in their own group. They didn't bother about traitors in other places. So I'm advising the youths, forget about ethnicity. Forget about saying that, look at River State. Look at River State. Somebody appointed a military dictator to rule a democratic state. And some people are coming out to say they are supporting a military dictator who is dismantling the democratic structure in your state. And they are bringing military to come and protect the pro-military demonstrators. This is a disgrace to those women and to those people who are doing it because of the money. It is a disgrace. So, under this era of extreme poverty and deprivation, it may be it may be very difficult for majority of youths to resist. But that is where the honor lies. That is the last battle. The battle to resist these predators who have made stealing, who have normalized it, such that in Nigeria they have glamorized criminality. They have made criminality to become accepted as norm. If you can't beat them, join them. All those pernicious philosophies. So I agree with you. We don't recommend that you should come out in the streets all the time. But there are many ways they can do it. They are wise. They are more intelligent than us. They are more advanced than us in technology. Because during our time, we didn't have all these gadgets. So I believe that youth have a way, but they must make up. There must be leadership. There must be front. Look at using public funds to charter vehicles, to take them to somewhere. Because if you journalists were to conduct survey among the people living in this axis on the day they did that rally, you will see the anger of the people. People are angry. 27 Nigeria against Tinubu and against these people who are deceiving us with political spin. I'm sure they may be deceiving. I'm not sure they can deceive all these young people. I'm not sure. I'll be very surprised if all these people are easily deceived. Elementary tactics of deceit. We are many. There are not many. How many are there? We are many. What do we call it? I wrote a book on a guide to debates and public speaking. Logical fallacies. Fallacies that are logical, statements that are logically relevant to what you want to prove. That is argumentum ad populum. Argument directed to the crowd, appeal to the crowd, appeal to the multitude. We are many. Everybody is here. Everybody is not there. It's not true. If I tell you how have been, go and check the judgment of Honorable Justice Monica Duncan Mensah. Monica Duncan Mensah in the judgment of the Court of Appeal in 2010. Great Oveja Okboru versus Dr. Emmanuel Udwa and others. Justice Mensah gave a breakdown of all the tactics being used by these people call themselves that Delta is PDP, that they use in rigging elections. They write results. They don't conduct elections. I am telling you, I've been involved in the politics of this country since 1979 as a participant observer. 1979. I have not stopped. I am a witness to history. I don't need Well, I read what happened before. But since 1979, I'm a witness to the history of Nigerian politics. These people are boasting. They're not boasting about popularity. They're not going to win anything. That's why people are saying, if they don't do a review of the electoral law, there may be no election. You go and write it as they did in 2023. It's a tragedy. Nigeria is in a tragedy of monumental proportions. I'm simple. I'm a simple man. This morning, I took akara and Quaker oats. In the afternoon or evening, I will take pounded yam. What is fella? Fella say, I be African man. I original. I'm not interested in all those artificial food that they are eating.
You eat organic.
I eat the food that I've been eating since I was a child. Yam, plantain, cassava, beans, and vegetable. Now, you know my problem. You can't even find good fruits. Corruption has eaten deep. You say, if you go to market, you buy, you see very yellow pineapple. You cut it, it's white. You put it in your mouth, it's acidic. You buy plantain, it's yellow outside. You touch it, you found that they have applied some chemical to make it look yellow. This is the problem we are facing. And government is not addressing these things. They are deceiving the people, telling people come and vote for me, buying their votes. There are so many problems. So, I have no secret at all. Just simple. Being simple. That's all. That's all. Well, I don't know. If I tell you that I know, I think it was one Egaraba of the NTA that first asked me this question. It just happened. And let me tell you, some people are so curious. I was going to my village one day, and one of my political friends, the daughter, asked me to take her sister to the village. Their village is close to my own, so that she can go to their village and I'll go to my own. So I took her in my car. I was driving. What am I going to ask for a schoolgirl? So after some time, I said, what's your name? She didn't answer. I said, what is your name? I now spoke our language. I now spoke our dialect. He said, to tell me the truth, I'm afraid. I said, what is happening? Don't you know me? I'm her grandmother was the treasurer of my party, UPN, when I contested the election. He said, they said I used to vanish people. That I will make people to vanish. So you can see in our environment, we conjure a lot of things. I just want to let you, we conjure a lot of things. Let me just say that it is taste. I can't even explain how it happened except that when I was in the bank, it was black suit. Not none of more suit and tie and so on. And I think it started when I was in the university. And I just discovered that as I buy clothes, most of my clothes became white, and I stopped using all the other ones. That's how it evolved, and it suits me. It suits my temperament. That's how it happened. Okay. There is no ulterior motive. When I was in active politics, there is a lot of diabolical people. Yeah, don't you see? He used to wear white. He must belong to so. Most of our people don't understand spirituality. Spirituality is when you embrace more refined ideals of life. Spirituality doesn't mean going to church. I give you an example of indigenous spirituality. In my own part of the country, we value akwacha. Akwacha is locally woven, not the one we buy from the shop. Now, the procedure for making akwacha It's so tedious. In those days, we don't import anything. Our people go to the farm, they cultivate cotton. They now harvest the cotton. They now spin it to have the yarn. Before they now use something to make it into thread. Before they now have a loom to weave. Aquaculture is very expensive to make. And our territory is not, our territory is red sand. So if you think of the process where Anyocha people prefer aquaculture in a land that has red, it tells you something about your spiritual values. We hold cleanliness, spiritual, physical cleanliness in high esteem. And let me tell you, I wrote one of the reasons why the king of our town gave me a chieftaincy title as the Oduri. Oduri means writer of indelible truth. One of the reasons why our people fought Ekumeku, particularly my own part of Enuane, was that they believed that the whites had inferior values, inferior ways of life, and they didn't want them to come and pollute our own ways of life. And that was one of the reasons. And our spirit and our deities, the deities that were worshipped, forbade unclean things. That was one of the reasons. So spirituality is in our people, but it has been bastardized. Just like the concept of democracy has been bastardized. The concept of democracy has been bastardized. How can you say you are doing democracy? You are using talks. You are using secret court. You are using this. You are using this. You remember what the Uba group did to Ngige in Anambra State when they took him to a shrine, to a square? Are you aware? Is that democracy? And there are worse things happening. So things have been bastardized. Values have been bastardized. Authentic spiritual values reside in indigenous people. And that is one of the reasons why I respect Yoruba. Yoruba is one of the few nationalities in Nigeria that still respects the indigenous religions. Most of our people, you see a traditional ruler abandon the culture of the people and say he's doing Christian. I'm not condemning anything, but we have to know where we belong culturally. Why are the Chinese doing well? Chinese integrated their culture into their politics. I'm sure you are aware of the story of the Chinese emperor who employed people to guards to guide the kingdom, and was trying to pay them, threaten them. When on the night that the kingdom was to be attacked, the attackers came and bribed the guards. Many guards. The guards opened the gate until the emperor was told that the attackers were at his doorstep. The emperor now found that the biggest safeguard to his was not the money, but cultural revolution to make the guards and everybody believe in the spirit of unity of the Chinese people, to protect the Chinese people. That cultural belief, that spiritual enablement, we don't have it. Has been killed by the present politicians who replaced it with materialism. The ideology that we had in the UPN was like a culture that our men were obsessed with how to make sure that we build a better country, which we call egalitarianism. And Yorubas call it Afenifere, the good of all, not the good of a few. That was our philosophy, and it was like a religion. And Awolowo and his group coined it into a song, which we call the UP anthem. You just made me to remember it. It's a duty that we hold to uphold our great fatherland. It's our duty, it's our birthright. So that duty Egalitarianism is a national what? It's a birthright. That is the duty that we hold. Egalitarianism. It was called into a song. That was what we sang at UPM meetings. We don't share money. We sang the doctrine of egalitarianism. That was our philosophy. That was our religion. That was our political religion during our own time. Not sharing money and sharing drinks. We didn't do it at our time.
Thank you very much, Chief, for your time. It's been wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you.
And, I'm sure the world will hear from you and they will learn from you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate this opportunity. Superior Radio and Television. Thank you. Thank you.
Innovative content, global audience.